Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. Tartan Rooster here and welcome back to the channel. For today's video I'm doing a bit of a retrospective of how the past year on YouTube has been, talking about highlights of the year and generally looking back at the videos from 2024. I've done channel updates in the past, there have been 3 of those so far, but I wanted to switch more into a year in review style of video at the end of the year, where we can not only look back but talk about the future for the channel and where we are in general. It's always fun to take stock of what's been happening, and maybe this might be a bit of a look behind the curtain if you are newer to YouTube or are curious about what things can look like a little bit down the road. Now I have been doing this for a few years and this has actually been probably my best year so far on YouTube. So with that being said, let's get into 2024's year in review. In 2024 I posted around 50 videos up until the 16th of December where I pulled this data from, keeping to as what I intended to be once a week videos, and I've enjoyed that format a lot. It's actually been really good to have a decent amount of time to prep, record and edit these videos for YouTube. I've accumulated 30,000 views this year and I'm very grateful for each and every view that this channel gets, and as I've stated, for me this is a hobby, but it's something I hope one day can become at least a part-time thing for me to do. We've also accumulated 1,500 watch hours on the channel, which is absolutely brilliant and a really massive increase on what we had last year. Our community has grown quite considerably this year, gaining 189 subscribers and edging ever closer to the next 100. For me, this shows that I am finding my audience. I'm finding people that are similar to myself, or at the very least enjoy my inputs on a wide variety of games and topics. Overall, everything is up a considerable amount over last year as I've knuckled down and tried to carve out my own style on the videos, such as the Tartan thumbnails, the branding and the consistency of content that I'm producing. We did go through a full rebrand this year. I even changed the channel name, and that doesn't seem to have impacted me negatively. In fact, it seems to have positively boosted my channel, which is really cool. We've also slightly upgraded our setup this year, which has contributed to the improved setup we have been using. These upgrades include upgrading RAM from 16 gig to 32 gig, a new cooler, a new microphone, new headphones and a 1440p monitor. While I can't record in 1440p due to the limitation of my graphics card, it means that we are taking raw input, descaling and recording and upscaling and output so that we get a better codecs on YouTube, which basically for you means that you get a better, less pixelated image quality on my videos. I've also improved my skills and editing knowledge with Adobe Premiere Pro and GIMP, and I've really enjoyed learning more about those programs and how to use them effectively. I've still got a lot more to learn. I'll be looking into courses for video editing to achieve this next year, but hopefully if you are a returning viewer you will have noticed a significant improvement in both video and audio quality of the videos that I've been uploading this year. The top 3 best performing videos for this year were in 3 separate games, which is a great thing for me as someone who likes to play a wide variety of games on the channel, as you will have seen. The top 3 videos start at number 1 with my War Thunder video, Is the US Tech Tree in War Thunder hard at 7.7 or do I just suck? With 3,600 views on the video and more importantly 67 comments, this video brought a lot of discussion and more importantly for me a lot of tips on how to improve at the game and a lot of other people agreeing with the points that I made in the video. Now this for me was a really good victory. It was a topic I knew would hopefully get a little bit of a response and start a little bit of a discussion, and it did. As I said, I'm starting to learn my audience a bit and realize that you guys are quite similar to me, especially in age range and gender. So there are some good opinions that I think I come up with, or at least talk about on the channel, that at least spark discussion with you guys, which is really what I want to do going forward. I want to start those discussions, not only to increase views on the videos and comments, but also to improve the sense of community that I'm hoping to build here over time on the channel. I really enjoyed making that video. As you'll appreciate, I don't always show me winning consistently in games. I like to show what a game is really like, and elements like this that can be a little bit tougher or a little bit more difficult are cool to go through and talk about and discuss with people that are a lot more experienced in the game as well, which has been really cool. I like to show what a game is really like and hopefully create entertaining content, even if that's around tougher topics or tougher matches in a particular game, such as the battle rating 7.7 in the US territory. Number 2 was my Battlefield 4 video, hunting boats in Battlefield 4 with 3,100 views. This is a favourite game of mine, as you know, and I find it really fun to come back to it every so often, and you guys seem to agree. I've originally said that when I initially created the channel, the idea was to cover the Battlefield franchise and in particular 2042. Of course, the launch for that particular title was less than stellar, so I pivoted to showcasing mostly multiplayer action games of all varieties, and I love playing them, whether that's old classics like Battlefield 4 or newer titles such as Infinite or even 2042 in its current state. There will definitely be Battlefield 4 content every so often. It is the game I've spent the most time in. I think I've probably got near enough across my accounts about 2,000 hours in that game, so it was a big part of my life, and therefore it is going to be a big part of the channel, and hopefully you'll see that. And I like to try and create fun things. I like to go in with a purpose. For example, in that video was to showcase the Javelin. The Javelin in Battlefield 4 is a really strong anti-boat weapon because it disables most boats in one shot, and then you can freely follow up and kill them. Hopefully they don't see you when you do that, but great video to check out if you aren't aware. And you know, I like to bring things up that I used to do a lot back in the day. Hopefully with a new Battlefield title there will be more Battlefields on the channel, and hopefully a newer Battlefield that's going to launch perfectly. Fingers crossed. And hopefully at least a fun new Battlefield will be on the horizon next year or the year after. Third top video was Isonzo. The video Isonzo is the perfect blend of arcade and hardcore shooters. Now, Isonzo for me has been a really big surprise. I didn't know what to expect with the game at all when I first picked it up, and I certainly didn't expect to be making videos, but those videos do well and I have a great time in the game. It's nice to have something that's a little bit more independent, moving away from the likes of War Thunder and Battlefield, and move into something, you know, that's a little bit smaller on scale. And if I can highlight a game to you guys that you might pick up and you might not have seen otherwise, then that's something that I'd really love to do. Isonzo is definitely for me right now the pinnacle of that, of a video game that isn't super well known but has its rightful place. And as I said, I stick by that it is a good blend of arcade and hardcore. So if you don't want to jump into something like, I don't know, Hell Let Loose or Squad 44 or something like that, then it's a great one to pick up for something a little bit different. As we won't get a new Battlefield title for a good while, or a new even Call of Duty title for a good while now, it's good to find those independent studios that are making really good shooter games that I think are worth playing. So I'll feature them whenever I can, and if you've got any suggestions for any games that fit that category, let me know in the comments below in this video. That would be really useful, really helpful, and it will mean that I'm bringing more content in that you guys will enjoy. And yeah, Isonzo's one that I dip in and out of. I don't really have any long-standing multiplayer games at this point in time. I jump around 3 or 4, and those 3 or 4 do show up on the channel fairly regularly, with the odd single player thing thrown in as well. So if you're new, that's the kind of thing that, you know, you might expect. The fact that the top 9 videos on my channel were made this year is fantastic, and I'm finding my footing more and more each month, and each video little bits of what I do improve and seem to be hitting a much wider and more engaged audience, which is fantastic and exactly what I hope for, especially when I'm posting that slightly wider variety of games, not just doing the same 4, but throwing in the odd surprise and odds hidden gem, which I like to do, especially on Game Pass every so often. There's a few of those videos that have done well, like Everspace 2, for example, has done particularly well on the channel. I've always said that in my intro that I want to make sure I'm making videos where I know what's going on in the game, so it's usually not brand new games I'm playing for the very first time, but sometimes it is, and it's great to have that option. But if I can really knuckle down and show you guys what I look like when I'm being competitive in a multiplayer shooter environment, particularly like a Battlefield, then I think for me that's where I shine, that's where I enjoy editing those videos together, more so than first impressions, not knowing what's going on. But some of those videos still do well as well. So, you know, I'm really adopting into that pattern of variety games, and that's where I want to be. I want to be a variety YouTuber. I know that's maybe not a term variety streamer is, but it is something that I'm looking at and kind of enjoying. It's the kind of content I enjoy watching, is the content where the creator knows what they're doing, so you get a little bit of an insight to an in-depth game, and that's something that I'm hoping to do myself, you know, where I can take you with me in a game where I know somewhat about it, but I'm not an expert. Good example would be DCS, recent addition to the channel, is something I'm learning and getting more expert at to a degree. And you know, if I can showcase you guys me executing a perfect mission, then brilliant. That means I'm showing you a little bit of a little peek into a game that you may not want to invest into yourself, because it is a bit of a time investment. There are a few issues on the channel that I plan on tackling this year. One of those is converting views to subscribers. This is an area I've always struggled with. Around 90% of the people that watch videos are not subscribed, and this is something I'm going to genuinely have to spend some time researching and figure out what I can do about that, whether that is more reminders that if people are having a good time they should subscribe. I've been trying to do this more at the beginning of videos rather than at the end, but I'll have to see if moving the time I say subscribe changes. And I do get this as a YouTube user. I've got a very small specific number of channels that I subscribe to, which I'm going to talk a little bit later on, and I don't just subscribe to everyone, so I'm quite, you know, picky, and I understand that people are picky about who they subscribe to, but hopefully, you know, if you've liked 1-2 of my videos, maybe consider subscribing, and providing any feedback in comments and videos that you might not be as engaged with, or videos that you're really enjoying. That might be something that you could do as the audience. That would be appreciated. You know, if you're enjoying yourself right now, like and subscribe, that'd be great. The other issue is that I would like to tackle this year is not recording in true 1440p. Now, for this one, it's very much a throw of money at the situation. I plan on upgrading my GPU at some point next year when I've saved up enough money to go from a 3060 Ti to a 4070 Ti Super when the new 50 series of NVIDIA graphics cards comes down. 40 series comes down because the 50 series has released. I'll also look at pairing this probably with a new PSU, possibly a CPU, but that's something I can look at. I'll then have both a more powerful graphics card, but also my old graphics card, so I could maybe look at setting up a recording rig from the spare parts from my current setup. That might be an interesting thing to look at to save money and try and boost the quality of content that I can produce in my video editors. But I'll certainly be seeking out a tech help and some solutions in the next few months leading up, probably towards the end of the year when we next do one of these. Hopefully I'll have all the upgrades that I need by next year. So what does the future hold for the channel? Well, one of the things I want to do is try to hit 500 subscribers. So if you want to help, as I say, consider subscribing in this video. Or if you are already subscribed, maybe recommend the channel to other people. Once we hit about 500 subscribers with the appropriate amount of watch hours, YouTube gives us an option to create memberships and link shops to the channel, etc. Now, this isn't something that I think I will be doing, but I think once we hit 500, that's when I start looking at making a free Discord. So if people want to, they can chat with people of similar interest in that environment as fans, and maybe help me with some videos in the future and things like that. Ultimately, I want to create a community that plays games together in the odd video and just plays together for fun as well. I'd like to build a community like that. I've been in some communities. You can go back and listen to my experiences. Long time ago, I made the RSOC tapes, RSOC tapes. That was about a Reddit community that I used to be very active in, and I want to create something similar to that. I don't want massive, huge community, but like a small, tight-knit group of people would be fun. I don't think we have to worry about not accepting people. I think that's not what I mean, but I just mean I think generally we're aiming to have that kind of small, tight-knit community that can play together, learn together, have a bit of fun, and maybe be in some videos for me. That's kind of what I want to do, really. 500 subs then is the next goal that we're going to be striving for. The other idea that I have is to make videos that would require a lot more time and investment. Think video essay style content where I break down a game and discuss it more broadly. I've delved into this here and there, but I would like to do more almost documentary style videos every so often, maybe every few months or something. As a history graduate, I don't know if I can call myself that. I did graduate 6 years ago at this point, but as a history graduate, I also love the idea of doing historical analysis on games such as War Thunder and DCS, so that could be quite fun, you know, comparing historical events to how they appear in game, vehicles, maybe seeing, you know, some of that what if content, replaying historical scenarios in slightly different ways. That could be fun, and DCS is a great tool for that, especially for modern things. I don't own any of the warbirds from World War II in that game yet, but it could be interesting to pick up some of them and maybe run escort missions, that kind of thing. That could be a really, really fun thing to do. So I want to use this next section to talk a little bit about the YouTubers I've personally really enjoyed this year. As you might imagine from my style of content, I'm a big fan of the likes of Tomographic and JackFrags, especially with their Battlefield content, and them playing together. I also like Will from Work as well, who also features quite a bit in JackFrags videos, which has been really cool. And I've enjoyed some of their varied content this year. I also want to talk about Controlled Pairs, who was someone I subscribed to for the first time this year. They make some great tactical content in a lot of shooter games and also show off some flight sims. What I like about it is that I love the way that Pairs talks about the games that he's passionate about, and from a tactical standpoint how he achieves those objectives, especially as he used to be in the military. So it's quite cool having that really hyper realistic gameplay with someone that kind of knows what they're doing, like, you know, so that's been really fun. And I think the channel that's made me laugh the most this year, Capachilla, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that wrong, so I apologize, but they are someone who are just really hilarious, and they mix content from Arma to DCS to Farming Sim to Euro Truck. They consistently put out really, really funny videos that I enjoy, and it's just a good time. You feel like the additional person in their friend group when you're watching those videos. But yeah, if you are curious about the full list of channels I subscribe to, that is set to public, so you can have a look for yourself. As I say, I'm quite selective about who I subscribe to in general, so you'll hopefully find people that are similar to me, and you can spread the love to their channels as well. Lastly though, I do want to give my genuine appreciation to all of you watching, whether you're a current subscriber or you watched my videos this year, or you just happened to click on this video for whatever reason. It's genuinely motivating for me to continue producing the content I have been, and I appreciate each and every single one of you. Know that you are a part of the channel as much as I am, and this channel will continue to evolve, as hopefully you will see as we're having this discussion again next year at the end of 2025. So thank you all so much for listening and watching today. I really do appreciate. Drop a like for the algorithm if you've enjoyed this style of video, or if you've enjoyed what I've said. I look forward to seeing this community growing, and I'll see you all next year. Happy New Year, and I'll see you in the next video.